growing up. Faith in his mom's house and music. And those two don't always go together. George liked his heavy metal, and there were a lot of posters that got thrown out over the years. But I think what happened was a really interesting merging of morality, ethics, vision that came from this faith-based organization that his mom brought him up in, and creativity. And the creativity in artists like you, Gil, and Noel, and 40, and all the other artists who are here, the ability to be a person tapping into your own story and inspired by the sounds you hear around you. You know, when you're sitting there and you're looking at the posters on your wall or the t-shirts you put on your back and you're thinking, it's something bigger than me, but I know I belong in this somehow. And that little something turned into an amazing career that spanned almost 3 decades. And I think that George probably recognized in figures like George Strummer and some of the great hip hop artists of the past that they were trying to say something. And that something was just so important, not just what they were saying, but the fact that they could say it was the most important thing. And that brings us to the second reason why I think George has not only had an amazing career, but it speaks to why music is such an important part of it. I'm not sure anything really creates a sense of community quite like music. This goes back to being a kid and walking around in a Metallica t-shirt and saying, this is who I am, but there's another guy with a Metallica t-shirt. Now we have something in common. Now we share something. And that shared experience is at the heart of everything George tries to do. It's about who you are within the collective of what everybody's trying to do, and how those things don't have to be different. Those things actually can help to build each other. When I think about what George has done with his platform, whether it's working on the macro level to help to create an industry that people can work in and grow, whether that's to help give legislators a kick in the butt to make sure that they're making sure the arts are important, whether that's to work with the heads of record labels to say, hey, you got to hear this kid, like working on the most macro levels, and the fact that these doors have opened up to him with the position that he now has. He has never taken that lying down for a day in his life. And the other part of it is the other, I think personally more interesting part of community. And it speaks to the kid that might be in that building right now with a garage band opened up and a window that he's working on, just trying to find the perfect snare sound. George's sense of community isn't just about what's big out there. It's about what's next and who belongs in it and who's being included and who isn't included right now, and making sure that everybody gets to go along with this ride. I've seen him take so many first tapes, then CDs, now just email me a file, but from kids that he doesn't know. They're just random kids that say, hey man, I saw you on Much Music, or whatever it is. Can you listen to this? And he listens to it, and he puts it on his shows. And then he'll turn around and say, hey man, this is really good. You should meet that person. Or you know what? I think that this person at this label might actually find this interesting. He opened up his home, not just to people like Robert Plant, who has been in the house being interviewed, not just to the Cult or the Kills or whoever it is, but you know, there are a lot of people out there who can say the first person who ever spun me on the radio was George Stroumboulopoulos. Whether it's a Billy Talent, a Sum 41, I've seen Havaya Mighty come through the house. You know, Jessie Reyes comes as she's on the come up, and all of a sudden they're shooting something together. Like it's a universal approach. And I think at the heart of it is community as a unifying force. So it's a real honor to be able to say George's name and stars can be part of a Walk of Fame, because there's two things that are really kind of cool about a Walk of Fame. One is it's about pounding the pavement, which is at the heart of every form of success. And streets are where we get together and meet. And I kind of think that's what George is all about. So please welcome me and help me celebrate the fact that my buddy has this wonderful honor today.
Hi, it's nice to see you. Thank you very much. It is an honor and a thrill for me to be up here with you as well, and Noah. It's interesting to be doing this in Mississauga because it's such a huge part of my story, and it's all kind of happening in this room as well. My first real introduction to what Canadians could make that could be powerful on a global level is a film your father made, and seeing what your dad Don created, and then realizing it was ours. That's big. You know, we talk an awful lot about how massive Toronto and Mississauga and Canada is around the world culturally. But it wasn't like that for a long time. Strangely, no, you're at the center of a lot of it, both in film and in music. And Noel, what you've been doing. But it wasn't like that. But it was your dad's film that got a lot of us at home to pay attention to what happened. It's funny that I'm wearing the exact same thing here that I'm wearing in that picture. Because it's kind of the exact same thing I wear all the time. But the very first rock and roll t-shirt, you were talking about the rock band t-shirts I wore, Bob, and hip band t-shirts, the very first music t-shirt I ever owned in my life as a kid was a Triumph shirt. So it's true. One of the very first TV pilots I ever made when I was in my early 20s and never even dreamed about being on television was with Cliff, which was, a quarter of a century ago. Was it Crank It or Tank It is what it was called. Anyway, so it's really lovely to be with all you today. Bob is right, it is about community. That has always been a thing. I think strategically I've realized that it's no fun to do this alone. It is no fun to do this alone. And to win with your best friends and to win with strangers who either could become your best friends or just be people that were along for the ride with you was way more meaningful to me ever than doing this alone. I've always wanted to be in a band. And that's what this feels like to me. The people that I love and care for the most are the people that inspire me the most, and I'm so grateful and lucky that they feel the same for me, and the journey has been long together and strangely easy. It's easy because when you come from a place of respect and mutual success, it's very simple. It's never been about you, it's been about what we can do together. I should say, I'm in politics, I really care about politics. The very first political exercise I ever had, aside from maybe getting roughed up by some police as a kid in Malton, was going to Mayor Hazel's office when I was in high school, and how engaged you were with us and how much you listened to us. And you didn't talk to us like we were kids. You never talked to us like we were high school kids. If we said something you didn't agree with, you let us know. And it mattered to us. You're a legend for lots of reasons, but how you treated us really matters. So I'm grateful for that. Also, I remember, I think I told the story a couple times, but some of you may not have heard it, most probably haven't heard it. I was once in Pakistan trying to film something with Tanya during the war and almost got arrested by the Secret Service there. This is a true story. And as I was trying to fight with the cop so that our camera operator could take the microchip out of his card, the SD card, and get away so they wouldn't confiscate the card. I was going back and forth, and then I realized at some point this story was going to end badly and I was probably going to get arrested because I was yelling at the guy telling him I didn't think he was a cop. I knew he was, but I was yelling at him, "You're not a cop, you're not a cop." And it was just stalling so our camera operator could get the card out and take off. And at this one moment when the cop had enough of me mouthing off to him, this car pulls up in the middle of Lahore, Pakistan, a city I've never been in a country I'd never been in before, and this woman gets out of the car and just yells, "Strombo." And I look over at her, and I have no idea what's going on. And she just says, "I'm from Malton." And I went, "Malton!" And I ran up to her, and the cop was so confused, he left. He left, and I got away. So in that respect, Malton saved my life. Malton is such an integral part of who I am. I was raised in Jane and Wilson, Jane and Finch. My mom was raised by a single mother, moved me to Rexdale, and from Rexdale, I ended up moving to Malton. I had no idea what Malton was. I hadn't heard of Mississauga. I was really young, and my mom said, "It's by the airport. You've got a couple friends who live here. This is going to be a really meaningful place for you." And I had no idea, and I don't even think she had any idea of how right she would be. I'm one of those kids who didn't have any plans for the future, had no ambition, had no real drive. I loved music more than anything. I could play piano, but the music I liked wasn't really piano based. So I didn't see a career in music at all. There was no path for me in that. And I decided to be an artist until at some point I got kicked out of art class. And I realized I couldn't graduate until I got an arts credit. And there was one teacher, and I want to name him, Rob Ciccatelli is his name, at my high school in Malton. I went to a Catholic school called Ascension. And Rob said, "Look, you're kicked out, you can't be here, but why don't you just show up anyway, and I'll mark you absent, and no one will ever know you came. But if you show up and do the work, they can't stop you from writing the exam. I'll prepare you for the exam." It was the single last course I would ever want to take, which was drama and English. And I had no option to graduate unless I did what he said. I had one other teacher. Rob went to that teacher and said, he's a good kid, mark him absent, let's get him through high school. And I said, okay, I signed up for that deal. And I did it, and I passed those classes. And because of those people, those teachers, I got into this field of entertainment. No plan, never thought of it, but it was the grace of one person who had no reason to care. Gone through thousands of kids in his high school career. No reason to care. Just said, no, I'm going to care. And I am ever so grateful for him, for what he did. I am ever so grateful to him and to my mother and to those people who don't even know that those small and big acts gives us the opportunity to become the people we might become. There is no guarantee, as we know. But what he taught me and what my mother taught me was that music matters. Music matters because it helps you feel a little less alone, even though it's just you under those headphones. You know, walking down the street, working in Malton at the sub shop, Mr. Submarine on Airport Road, going down to Mayor Hazel's office at that time. Bonnie, you know Malton really well, representing it. It mattered so greatly to us. I am nothing without that community. All the stories I have, all the interviews I've done, the stories I draw from happen in Malton. This tiny little neighborhood inside Mississauga has spawned so much creativity, and the city has spawned so much creativity, and truly grateful to have come from all this. So I'm really grateful to be a part of this and to be with you, which is really nice. This is a cool city, and Bob is right. It is about pounding the pavement. It is about pounding the pavement. It is about being on the streets. It's something that I know you never forgot. It's something that I will never forget, and to be here with you has been pretty special. Thank you so much.